Toby, let me quickly come to you. From what you hear from a lot of people, it seems to me that people feel that the solution across board is the same. And a lot of people are saying maybe it's funding.
Yeah, funding is very key. There's no way you'll be successful in football or sport or any sport without funding, because you need funding to create structures, And I mean, there's a lot of heavy burden on the government, and you need to really put it as such. How many sport federations are we running in Nigeria? How many do we want the government to put money into? And for you to develop the structure, especially from the youth level, you need a lot of money. You have to have a structure. You have to bring an expatriate to come down here and do a lot of trainings, a lot of championship. I mean, it's worth over $1 billion every year. I mean, so it's always going to be difficult. The reason why we struggle with funding, because like Tony highlighted, in table tennis, in wrestling, and a lot of sport, if we could have been able to sort the funding aspect, we could have,
could have
done better in this sport. But welfare of the players, poor preparation really alter a lot of things for us. Even in football, I mean, we know how our national team struggled in terms of finance. Sometimes these guys don't get good campaign, don't get good competition before they go to. But however, in all of this, like I said, Haruna Kodio and the rest did well. Ade Kuroye in wrestling, they did well for themselves. Those guys, in the Scrabble, the football event also won bronze at the Olympics. A lot of things. But I mean, going to the 2016, I think the key thing is how we can ensure that we solve the funding. It is a very important part. If you can get to sort that, I mean, we've got potential to rule the world.
All right.
Athletics, I mean, at the Olympics, for us, a story
we're
of
close,
near misses.
So close, yet so far.
Something that we need to sort out. We've talked about the issue of funding. A few days ago, I was just thinking about sports like handball, like hockey. We were very good volleyball. Yeah. We were very good. We were very dominant in these sports a few years ago. We were going for international competitions. For men, for women, for the 8th grade teams. But those things now, they exist. They are not existent. Volleyball, handball, hockey, and we read a lot about under 20 World Cup for hockey, for handball, for volleyball, and Nigeria does not even come near qualifying for this kind of competitions. And these are issues that we really need to go sit down.
The question now is
and find a way to
it begs
solve.
the question. I mean, coming from what Toby has said, should we now streamline the sports that we participate in and look for the ones that we have comparative advantage? Or if Scrabble comes, they ask for money, we give. This one comes, they ask for money.
Is there any sport that the Nigerian can do?
Well,
it depends on what we take sports to be.
Okay.
For me, sports is a very good means of youth empowerment.
Yeah.
If we have 20 sports and we can use those things to generate employment and create empowerment for young people
off the streets.
I mean, let's create those platforms. South Africa is a multi-sport nation. Yep. Swimming, they're there.
Everything.
Hockey, they're there.
Everything.
Volleyball, everything. They are coming into.
There are sports that have variations. South Africa is to the village.
Cricket, the more, the merrier.
Yeah.
So let's create all these avenues, empower people, develop these sports, empower people, and then
maybe the
employment.
The icing on the cake is to demand for accountability, because that's another issue. You're not just going to throw money at people.
You
must demand for
even there's a lot of even 2016, it was obvious the money was not coming. I mean, in a year where the federal government struggled, most of these recession, where we're just coming up from there, and I mean, and also the private company are also struggling. So it's always going to be difficult. Like I said, there's no way if you don't have money, you can't develop any sport. But it is a gradual thing. We can set a foundation. We can start to pump money gradually.
Yeah.
Start little by little. Then we need to focus, because sometimes, like Tony said, we have competition, we have tournament, and then we look focus. Imagine if all these tournaments have been able to stick very well. We could have been competing well in other competition. But I mean, it's in 2017 where we need to open our eyes to a lot of things.
All right, let's. We're done with our review. Let's talk about the big thing happening in the next 5 days. Arguably, well, I don't think there's any argument about it, the biggest sporting event, talking about football on the continent. That's the African Cup of Nations in the next 5 days. Well, it's not about Nigeria. Nigeria's not going to be there. But let's talk about the host, Gabon, putting the final touches to preparations for the competition. Is less than a week to go. Construction still underway in some places. A lot of things still being put in place. But Tony, like you always say, you hear all these stories about host countries, but at the end of the day,
is the pitch okay?
That's what that matters.
even during the Olympic Games in Brazil,
construction was going on.
Same paintings going on, but this looks like a heavy amount of construction work going on anyway, which should be worrying. But the most important thing when the tournament begins, the pitch
on Saturday
and the stands where people are going to sit to watch the
security,
and that's it. So once the pitch is good, we will fix these guys, don't worry. If it is to lodge all of them in the hotel and keep them off public glare until the games are over, they will do it, you know. But the most important thing, the pitch, the stands, the football. Once it starts, everybody will find a place to stay and enjoy the games.
To be fair to Gabon, do you think they had enough time? You know, originally it wasn't going to be them, and some people will say probably they're bailing Africa out. Did that affect the Gabonese in any way? I'm telling you.
No, that's not an excuse. They co-hosted with Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
But that's a distance. 5 years.
Yeah, and they wanted to host.
That's key.
So when you tell us that you want to host, you should be ready to host. But don't worry about all the things that you're saying. I'm telling you, when the tournament begins, you will keep enjoying the games, and you will have little time to worry about the other guys. They fix those guys up, I'm sure. Gabon is oil rich, like Nigeria, maybe more money than Nigeria. So they will fix it. The football will take preeminence, and everything will be okay.
Toby, I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, you know, we hear stories about, you know, host countries in almost every tournament. You know, even the biggest event, the Olympics, there's a lot of excuses, a lot of complaints, FIFA World Cup. So, you know, like Tony said, this country, the host country will get over it. The moment, you know, the first game, you know, kicked off, and then you see a lot of things taking place, a lot of things taking shape. But I mean, like I said, most important thing is security. If everyone that comes to Sudan can be assured of their life, can have, you know, a good atmosphere, every other things will really take shape. But I hope it will be a great tournament. We won't be there, but I mean, the other 16 countries will give us the very best of football.
We won't be there, but we'll be there.
Okay. That's another one. We won't be there.
Yeah.
Our eyes.
We'll be there.
We'll see it.
No, we are in Nigeria phase there. I think the NFF president also will be there. There's a lot of people there.
Our coach will be there to monitor and see our opponents. So.
Okay. Let's go on a break. Let's see so much for you on Sports Tonight. Join us again.